The heavyweight division. Tom Aspinall quick win over Tybura last weekend made some people think about the division. As it stands, the division has a champion, Jon Jones, and he's scheduled to fight Stipe Miocic in November in Madison Square Garden, I think. And they probably both retire after this. And that's the problem. The division is probably the most stacked it's ever been, with prospects like Jailton Almeida and Sergey Pavlovich and Tom Aspinall, who we just talked about, and even fighters who've already fought for the belt like Cyril Gane, who I wouldn't be surprised to see make a comeback. So with Jon Jones' retirement, who's fighting for the title next? We got Sergey Pavlovich as number 1, and he's most likely the backup fighter for the fight in November. Number 2, we got Cyril Gane, who just lost to the champion and is facing Spivak in Paris. He might need 2 more fights before fighting for a title, that's for sure. Number 3, we got Stipe, who's fighting for the title in November, and he probably retires too. Number 4, we got Curtis Blades, who's fumbled the bag once again, getting knocked out by Sergey Pavlovich, and he's gonna be fighting Jailton Almeida next. And number 5, we got the hot prospect himself, Tom Aspinall, who plans to fight Cyril Gane next if he wins in Paris. And the thing for me, making it complicated, is that I see all of them passing the belt around between them, and not one man dominating. Let me explain. I see Gane, Pavlovich, Aspinall, and Almeida being nightmares matchup for each other. As an example, let me tell you, I see Gane beating Pavlovich with his footwork, distance, and kicks. I think Sergey is a hittable target for someone like Gane, and he can avoid getting hit by him. But at the same time, I see Sergey beating Aspinall, because Aspinall tends to go in the pocket a bit more and leaves his chin open during a lot of exchanges, and he got touched up by Tybura in the short time that fight lasted. Imagine it was Pavlovich landing. So see Aspinall beating Jailton Almeida, because Almeida is not just going to be able to outstrength and impose his wrestling on Aspinall. Tom has a decent ground game from what he's shown, and we don't know how Almeida reacts if he can't approach with his takedowns. So I see Aspinall clipping him with his slickness on the feet. But again, I see Almeida beating Gane. I see him being too technical on the ground for Gane. Even though I believe Gane's ground game is underrated, he did show lack of technique, and against a heavy wrestler like Almeida, I don't see him having the power of Aspinall that's going to make Almeida respect him so much that he won't close the distance and get him on the ground. So I see those 4 all touching the belt at one point. That's if Jones leave. How do I see a matchup between him and the contenders? Personally, I think he beats Almeida. He's stronger, more technical, and more physical, and Almeida can just wrestle, submit him, or knock him out like that. I see Pavlovich having a serious chance against Jones, and I could never bet on that fight, because the one type of fighter we never saw Jones against is a one-punch power. And at the same time, Sergey got dominated and beat on the ground by Alistair Overeem, so I think Bones can find a way to get inside and win. We all saw what happened against Gane, and I won't talk too much about it. I do trust that if we see a rematch, Gane will do a lot better, but I see the ending being the same. The submission threat of Jones is just too big. Aspinall is the most complete of all those fighters, I think, and he has a good chance against Jones wrestling, but to call them on par is madness. And even though I see Jones having the advantage on the ground, I could see Tom causing him some trouble there as well. But on the feet, Jones gets outclassed at heavyweights against Aspinall, until he starts to do those vicious techniques that we always see him do. Oblique kicks, arm crank, and all that other stuff. And Aspinall already had an injury on his knee, and I could definitely see Jones using that against him during the fight. That wouldn't surprise me. Basically, I would never bet against Jon Jones, and neither should you. I think he can find a way to win all those fights, but I still think his nightmare matchup is probably Sergey Pavlovich. But once he's gone, Pavlovich is not invincible. He's got his nightmare matchup too, and so does Gane, and so does Almeida, and so does Aspinall. And you, what do you think?